Hi, my name is Zach AC, and today I'm going to be giving my presentation on Lenguaje Latino. To begin, I'd like to start off with my problem. And the problem is that the vast majority of coding languages used today are English-based. This makes computer development significantly more difficult in non-English speaking countries because there's much more an investment one needs to make to be able to learn the language. Not only do you have to learn the coding language, but you also need to understand at a very high level the English language itself. Um, so to give a little bit more background on what programming is, a coding language enables us to communicate with the computer so that it can complete certain tasks. They can range anywhere from binary, which is in this bottom right corner, which is a low-level language, to Python, C++, and Java, which are all examples of high-level languages. As we input this language on a command script, the computer interprets our input and completes the task we assigned it to do. To explain a little bit more about what low-level programming is, C, C Sharp, C++ are considered low-level languages as well. They are used to create applications and operating systems. So for example, Mac OS is written in Swift, which is another low-level language, and Windows is written in C. These low-level languages require little interpretation from the computer. So if we go back, these zeros and ones make absolutely no sense to us, but the computer understands them very well. And while we look at a high-level language, which is right here, this makes less sense to a computer. These low-level programming languages are also machine dependent, and so they only run on certain types of computers. High-level programming, on the other hand, requires more interpretation from the computer, but they're easier for us humans to understand and to debug. Command words are similar to natural human language. So, for example, I will show you a simple program, and the commands make a lot more sense to us. And they usually have safeguards so the computer is not damaged. Low-level languages generally manipulate the computer itself a lot more, while the high-level languages have more of a purpose, and we can get more there's more function out of them. These high-level programs are significantly less memory efficient, meaning that it takes a lot more for the computer. It makes the computer work a lot more to run the program. But the nice thing is that they run on any platform. So to give an example, I want to show you some Python. And so here we see a simple code where it says we're telling the computer to print this phrase "hello world" onto this console right here. And so if we hit play, boom, there we go. It says "hello world." Now, if we wanted to get a little bit more technical, this is an example of some code that I'm running for one of my math classes. We are telling it to run and to manipulate matrices. And if we were to run this, obviously it's not perfect, but because it's a little bit more in our language where it's easier for us to understand and to debug. But here we see all the matrices that it manipulated and made, which is kind of cool. But going back, so I hope through this where you're able to see the importance it is to of the importance knowing a language, specifically English, is to learning programming. And so now we come to Lenguaje Latino. Unfortunately, for those that do not speak English, the most common and practical programming language are based in English. And as of now, to become a programmer in any other country, you must speak English as a second language. This is just the bare minimum. You have to learn English. And so I want to show what Lenguaje Latino aims to do. If you look here. All right, so that is basically what Lenguaje Latino is. Anything that we try to do in English, it tries to do in Spanish. Like like it talks about in the video, this language is an interpreter, which basically means that as we input certain things in our more human language, it interprets what we put in and it changes it to a computer language, and then the computer language then returns it to the interpreter, and we get what we see on the command strip or the command prompt, excuse me. Um, so this language, to give a little bit more background, is based off of C, but is inspired by Lua and Python. So it looks very similar to what we see here. This is also, as you can see, a high level language. And the most important thing is that this is a Spanish programming language. There's no English needed. The syntax is completely in Spanish. So the syntax is just the language and the how we write in the program. It aims to drop the English speaking barrier. And so to give a couple questions on what Lenguaje Latino is how it's going to lower the English barrier in fields such as programming. You know, we see this example in Lenguaje Latino that it's completely changing the syntax to Spanish. But what are some other ways that we can lower this English speaking barrier? And a follow-up question is what will come from extending computer literacy to other languages such as Spanish? So as other countries that do not speak English come to understand and are becoming more computer literate, how is that going to benefit us as a human population? Thank you so much.